Anything we see, we on it. I want everything. Hey, I want to give all glory and praises unto the Lord Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi. Barakatah Yahawah, Barakatah Yahawashi, Barakatah Yahawah, Barakatah Yahawashi, Barakatah Yahawah, and Barakatah Yahawashi. Please excuse the slight noise that you do hear. Just focus on my voice and try to overtalk it, be louder than it. However, today's lesson, not gonna be Lord willing too long, but it's whatever the Spirit wants to, it's whatever the Spirit, the Rakakwadash, through the Spirit wants to, do ultimately. But I seen this and I'm like, yeah, I'm finna go ahead and do a little lesson on this. Is do a little lesson on this debauchery and witchcraft and things of that nature. And so this is just one of the many reasons that America is going to be destroyed. Certain shit like this, and that this abomination and wickedness such as this is being allowed on a global scale, and no one's batting an eye. Or they're complaining, but they can't do anything about it. And this is just the way that the world is going and is leaning towards ultimately, and it's gonna ultimately be a main factor and reason why this place gets destroyed by nuclear ICBM missiles, according to the scriptures, according to Yahawah Shem Yahawashi. Because what you're gonna see in this video is disturbing. You understand? But at this point in time, we're so desensitized to this type of behavior, in a way, because they push it so much, as far as homosexuality, transgenderism, and LGBTQ, all that fucking wickedness. It's witchcraft. It's sin. Ultimately, it's transgression of the Most High Yahawah Shem Yahawashi, His commandments, and what we should and shouldn't do. You know what I mean? And what we have here is in the red we have, that's a dude, but he looks like a girl because he's a transgender bender or whatever. And then on the blue we have an actual natural woman in the flesh. So she has reproductive organs. She actually has a vagina, a real one. And I'm gonna play the video, and Lord willing I don't get copyrighted. I'm gonna just play a little bit of it, skip around, maybe get the point. But the point is, these motherfuckers are fighting, and of course the man, biologically, who's a man that looks like a woman, is going to win. And what made me kind of want to do this lesson, is because it was the title. Ultimately, it says, "I have never been hit so hard in my life." And of course not. You're not fighting a woman. Just woke up. But you're fighting a damn man, so what the fuck you expect? What the fuck do you expect? And this is the society, this is the kingdom in which that we have to partake in. And that's why we need to get up out of here. We need to get deliverance. We need Yahawah Shem Yahawashi to come deliver us from this man's kingdom, because this man, this man's thought process is truly wicked. He doesn't see anything with Esau, Edom, and the elites and the rulers of this society. They don't see anything wrong with a man being a woman and participating in sports, or a man putting on a dress, or vice versa, and going into women's restrooms and doing folly, doing wickedness. But as well, before I play this, I want to bring out something, because I believe that they're pushing this transgenderism so hard. It's because Esau Edom is the damn devil. He's the wicked that the Bible speaks of. But it also goes back to the gods that they worship, which goes into Baphomet, goes into Satan, goes into Baal, things of that nature. But real quick, when you get into what the Baphomet looks like. Let's get it, Baph. I think I might. I don't need the meaning. Let's just go get an image real quick. As you can see, this is what the Baphomet looks like. This is one of the chief deities and false idols and gods that these higher echelon elites worship in this world, and truly what governs this world, and why you see so much wickedness on the forefront. They practice a lot of weirdo occult practices, and they think a certain type of left-handed wicked way, and they practice witchcraft and sorcery on the left-hand side, and that's what is truly running the earth at this point in time, is that left-handed satanic energy. And this is why you see everything upside down. This is why you see actual men participating in women's sports. That's completely, it's completely, unacceptable ultimately. But guess what? It's gonna fly. It's gonna be accepted. It's gonna be uplifted even somehow, because of the society and the elites, that run the society. They push this on the people, and the people are desensitized to it. So they, it's running the meal at this point. But this is the Baphomet, and as you can see, it's a goat, wings. It's sitting down crisscross. But the point is, it's a man. As you can see, his rod is right there. I guess that's what it's supposed to represent, the penis of some sort, some type of phallus, and then he has breasts. As you can see, he has titties. So, it's a man. it's like an androgynous deity, and that's what they worship, an androgynous deity. So if their deity is androgynous, then they're gonna probably seek to make people, uplift that type of androgynous lifestyle of, being a woman and a man, or switching and going back and forth and things of that nature. So I thought that was interesting. So let's go back to the video and we're gonna play it. The man is the one in red. So I want you to remember that. And yeah, I'm gonna pause it. Not trying to get copyrights and things of that nature, but I'm gonna explain it and get the respective precepts and wrap this up.
Solid straight right hands.
As you can see, she got hit with one hit and she was through. Because there's a difference between there's a difference between a man and a woman. The Lord Yahawah set up order in the earth, and Esau Edom is trying to disrupt that order. So let's get the order of things. Alright, hold on, Salakia. Just real quick, and then we'll play the rest of the video. Trim down. Let me see. I thought it was here. Hold on. Salakia. Let me just do a search for it, man, because my Bible app been fucking up lately. It ain't even pulling up none of the precepts I need. Okay, I was close. Okay, so like it. Let's just get the order real quick. No, this is started 2. This is 1 Corinthians 11:2. It says, brethren, it says, brethren. No, it says, Slakia. It says, now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances as I deliver them to you. What is an ordinance? Let's look that up. Let's see what that means in the Hebrew. You know. Wait, hold on. See what it says here. It says, giving over, the act of giving up, of surrendering the cities. Ultimately, the ordinance is something that you're giving power to the ordinance to follow it ultimately. But it says here, giving over, which is done by word or mouth or writing, i.e. tradition, instruction, and narrative, precept. So you're following the ways of the Lord Yahawah via his word. Objectively, that which is delivered, the substance of a teaching. Ultimately, a command, of how things are supposed to go, because the Lord did say, let everything be done in decency and in order. And if things were done in decency and in order, then you wouldn't have men on the earth fighting women in a fucking boxing match, as if that is some type of spectacle. Something that, who's gonna win? What the fuck do you mean? Like nature and biology and common sense is gonna take its course. Ultimately, reading on, it says, keep the ordinances like it as I deliver them to you. So basically follow, and hold fast unto the ways in which we have been taught. The ways of the Lord. But Esau Edom is he's wayward. He's against Yahawah Shemel. So therefore he's gonna do everything in his power to create his own way, and he declares that, the ways of the Lord, men being set up, women being set up, in order to do what they need to do. He's like, nah, that's not right. We can do it like this. I can create this. I can give a man this, and I can give a woman, I can give her testosterone and just fuck up everything because he's the damn devil. But it says, I would rather have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, which is Yahushai, and the head of the woman is the man. Okay, which is, the sons of God, it's Israel, Yahshua, and the head of Hamashiach is Yahawah, So therefore, there's the order, real quick, real fast, you know what I'm saying? Okay? That's how things work. That's the order. So when you see things out of order, it's due to this current kingdom, this current society, all right? And those who are in rulership, all right, don't care much for the ways of the Lord, Yahawah. The ways of the Lord are not being uplifted in the earth. You know what I mean? So let's go back to this article. And you know what? Let me Salakia, hold on. Not the article. Let me go back to this to the video, and we're gonna play some rest of it and get some more precepts on it. Let me get. Where's my motherfucking shit? Okay, it's over here. Let me grab that. But Salakia, hold on. Guess what? Alright, so let's play the rest of this video and see. Alright, okay, I guess that's the main gist of the video. But man, this bitch, she can't even like celebrate that type of win. She can't celebrate any type of win because you're a man fighting against women, hitting them with that one punch, one hit a quarter, and they out of there. I mean, like, shit, nigga, a grown man hit a woman in the face. If I hit a bitch in the face, she ain't gonna, with full strength, man, she not gonna want to fight no more, bro. You know what I mean? Because, You know, there's a difference between men and women, man. We're stronger than them, man, for a reason. You know, and there's an order to things for a reason, man. You know, the scriptures speak to Eve, or speak to the woman being, you know, the weaker vessel. So ultimately, she's just the weaker sex. You know, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. She has a particular order, a particular place in the earth to do what she needs to do, but it's not to usurp authority over men, nor is it to try to fight men. You know what I mean? But this transgender shit is getting out of hand. All right, but this is just you know, the wickedness of this particular kingdom. You know, and not only that, he's wearing women clothing at this point. You know, he got on a motherfucking, you know, little I don't know what to call this. You know. And I guess this could be like a unisex, but this looks like a leotard or something. You know, this is a grown man. You know, this is a grown man doing this type of shit. You know, and scriptures speak about how you shouldn't wear that which pertaineth to women. You know, let me get that precept just to bring it out. Fuck it, it'll be misspelling shit. Deuteronomy 22:5. We can just read it right here. It says, "The woman shall not wear which pertaineth unto a man," and we see that in these times because, you know, you got that, you know, this society, whether it's transgenderism, being a fucking homo, or being a lesbian, or being a dyke, being a stud. You know, you got so many categories these days. But ultimately, the shit's all wicked, and it's all gonna get you put to death. Point is, call out Yahawah Shema Shah 144. But point is, the woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man. All right. So therefore, women out here, you don't want to fucking, you don't want to be over righteous about it, because, you know, we're following the laws and statutes and commandments to the best of our abilities. So, you know, women, they be wearing pants and shit and all that other shit. Okay, all right, you know what I'm saying? If you can, don't wear pants. But if you can't, and, you know, it is what it is. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do. But point is, you know, when women and men want to wear each other's clothes, you know, men in dresses, men, you know, being flamboyant, being effeminate, and putting on makeup, and being degenerates is sad, man. And hey, the Lord told us not to do these things for a reason. You know what I mean? This is not merit any type of order. This is disorder. You know, you can't have a society of men running around looking like women and women running around looking like men. You know what I mean? And men as well, on a side note, need to grow their beards, because there's a lot of men who don't have no beard, don't have no facial hair, don't, just look like straight hoes, or they cut it off. You know what I mean? And they try to keep it shaved down or something. You know what I mean? And that is effeminate, man. You know what I mean? Because there'd be a lot of gay ass niggas. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna sugarcoat shit. Be a lot of homo niggas who be looking feminine as hell, and you look at their faces and they don't got a speck of fucking facial hair, or they cut all that shit off so they can look more feminine, bro. And, you know, the Lord said that we should have beards on our faces, man, to separate us, man. It's a badge of honor, bro. If you can grow one, grow it. If you can grow any facial hair, grow it, and, you know, keep it, you know, how you want to keep it. But, you know, the beards were, you know, ultimately for help, and it sets up order so people could be identified. If I see someone from far away, I'm not sure if it's a man or woman or not. I can look, you know, and, oh, he had a beard. Okay, that's a man. I can look at his frame. Oh, yeah, that's a man. I can look at his clothing. Oh, yeah, that's a man. But now in these days, literally, you don't know who the fuck you're talking to with these transgenders, because some of them actually look so convincing that it's quite frightening if you're not careful. So I feel bad for these people going to clubs, getting drunk, and not knowing what the fuck going on, and they think they dealing with who they dealing with, and the whole time, yeah, you're not dealing with who you thought you were dealing with. But let me read the rest of this. It says, the Lord shall not, on this like it says, the woman shall not wear that which pertaineth to a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. It says, for all that do so are an abomination unto the Lord Yahawah, thy power. So, strict commandments not to do this type of shit. Let's get Isaiah 24. I'm gonna jump down. You know what? Let's start at let's start at 3. It says the Lord. This is basically a prophecy of Isaiah that he was seeing, but it's Isaiah 24:3 says the land shall utterly be emptied and utterly spoiled, and the Lord hath spoken. No, the Lord Yahawah hath spoken his words. Ultimately, this is going into Babylon, man. Babylon is going to be destroyed, man. All right, it's going to be utterly spoiled. It says in verse 4, the earth mourneth, and this is where we are in. This is where we are in, the earth right now. The earth mourneth, because why? Why is the earth mourning? Because of the inhabitants that's ruling this place. They're not pushing righteousness. They're pushing wickedness, and a part of wickedness is being a homo, being a trans, being everything outside of the order that the Lord gave you from birth. He gave you the order. He gave you, okay, you're a man, or you're a boy, you're a girl, so, act like it. But now we in a world where it's, if you feel like you're a girl, then you're a girl. It's going off these emotions and opinions and all that. Emotions and all that shit is wicked, bro. You know what I'm saying? Just because I feel like just because I feel like the president today don't mean I'm the president in actuality, in reality. So it's really just a bugged out doctrine of thinking, ultimately. But it says the earth mourneth and fadeth away, and the world languisheth and fadeth away. And the haughty people of the earth do languish. These people are proud, they're proud as fuck. But I suspect behind the scenes that all these homos and these queer people, these bender gender these wicked ass motherfuckers, I bet they are miserable. You know what I mean? I bet they miserable behind the scenes, man. They just try to hide it through all their flamboyancy and pride and get-togethers and parties and stuff. They try to hide how miserable they are. Ain't no fucking way that you're out here getting, doing all types of matters of abominations and wickedness, as far as being a homo and being a lad, just doing things that are unseemly. And you just telling me that you're in the right spirit. You not in the right spirit, bro. You got demons on you, man. If you're a fucking homo, you're a fucking lesbian, you eating pussy, you sucking dick as a nigga, whoop-de-whoop. Hey, I'm sorry if I'm getting graphic. You got demons on you. You're wicked. You're bugged out of your fucking mind. You know what I mean? That is not the way to go. Alright? And the Lord Yahawah is going to destroy you unless you come out of that. Unless you repent. It says the earth mourneth and fadeth and languishes and fadeth away, and the haughty people of the earth do languish. Okay, let's see what that word language. Let's see what it means. It says languish. It says to be weak, to droop, to languish, to be exhausted, to be weak. All right, these people are. It says to be feeble, to grow feeble. These people are fucking bugged out, man. You're gonna wax weak in that wickedness. But the men of the Lord, wouldn't we be in that number? We're gonna continue to wax strong day by day, being renewed by the Spirit, man. Because we're, Lord willing, trying our best to be in order. All right, but it says here in verse 5, the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof. All right, and who's the inhabitants thereof? Who are we under? Whose rulership are we under? This ain't the rulership of Yahawah. Now is it? Because none of this shit that we see will be going on. This is the rulership of Esau. He has Edom, is fulfilling his blessing. All right, that he's gotten from Isaac. He's gotten the fatness of the earth, and now this is what he's doing with it. This is what the elites are pushing. You know, this is what's going on. You know, it says the earth is defiled. This place is defiled. Okay, it's unclean. Okay, it says under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, the ways of the Lord, and have changed the ordinances, just like how we brought out in 1 Corinthians 11, the ordinances, you know, which is a precept, a command, a way, you know, to you know, ultimately for the betterment of us. But to ignore the ordinances is to go against the Lord, ultimately. And this is what Esau Edom, his whole MO is. It says, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore the curse hath devoured the earth. And they that dwell therein shall be desolate. And that curse is going into those nuclear ICBM missiles, man. And there's also going to be chariot fire from the chariots that's going to be shot down on this place as well. It's the missiles, you understand? But it says they dwell therein and desolate, therefore the inhabitants of the earth. The inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men are left. The new wine mourneth, and the new vine languish, and all the merry-hearted do sigh. These people aren't happy or proud, or well, they are proud still, but they're not in the spirit of just rejoicing all the fucking time. And if they are in the spirit of rejoicing all the time, they're just trying to hide the fact that they're miserable and that they're finna be destroyed. You know, because in the back of your head, man, you gotta know that, man, being this type of person and doing these type of activities is wrong. You know, even as a kid or as a child, I knew when things were wrong and how I felt when I knew I done fucked up. But now these people are pacified and they have been given a stage to promote wickedness. And the only way that that's being made possible is because of the rulers that are in rulership today that's allowing it to go down. Because they got the scripts. They know the order of how things are supposed to be done, how the earth is supposed to be ran. But they don't want to do it that way because the Lord has set them up to be the wicked. He said, I'm going to jump down to verse 10. The city of confusion. That's Babylon. That's Babylon. Babylon goes into mixing of a ball. You know, a mixing. So this place is the city of confusion. Okay, Babylon the Great it says, and it's broken down, and every house is shut up that no man may come in. You know, ultimately, you know, as I'm skimming through this, the reward or the answer for all the wickedness that's being done in the earth is ultimately Isaiah 24. Like, the earth is going to rule to and fro because of the wickedness, man. The Lord's gonna pelt this place with missiles and nuclear missiles at that because of the wickedness, man. You know, let's get in the precept. Man, I gotta delete this app and re-download it, man, on everything. This shit, I can't even, it's not doing right, man. It is not doing right. But let me get in the precept here. Bear with me. See what we want to get called like that. Let me see. Maybe it's a pop up. Hold on, bro. Man, it's lucky because This shit being so trash right now that I gotta go re-download it right now on the spot. This shit is being trash. Or download a whole nother Bible app, but I don't want to do that because I'm accustomed to this one. So let's re-download it because it's being so shitty. I'm just thinking that it probably just wanted to update or something. I don't know. See if you want to pop up now. Let's get this in 1 Timothy 1:10. Yeah, 1 Timothy 1:10. This is it reads, for whoremongers are individuals that gather up a bunch of women and basically sell them and pimp them out, for profit, which is going off. If you're dealing with a woman, then you deal with a woman, you don't fucking cause her to commit adultery and gather up a whole bunch of women for profit, causing them to commit adultery and deal with multiple men that's going off. Like being a pimp in a sense. But it says, for them that are defiled, and for them that defile themselves with mankind, you homos and you transgender benders and all you queers can fit into this narrative. It says, for men stealers, for liars, and for perjured persons, if there be any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine. All right, according to the glorious gospel of the blessed power which has been committed, Salakia, unto my trust. Let's get another precept. Leviticus 18:22, thou shalt not lie with mankind as if with womankind, it is an abomination. So the things and the works that they're doing on the daily is abomination unto the Lord. And so let's get a precept here. Another precept. This is Isaiah 29:16. Let's see. Let's start at. Let's start at 10. So Isaiah 29:10, it says, for the Lord Yahawah have poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep. Now this is going into the nation of Israel. Ultimately there's 2/3 and wicked Israelites that are in a spirit of being completely gone, completely wicked. So as we, abide and exist in this wicked defiled society, these wicked Israelites in 2/3, they are basically they're with Esau, and they're with the wickedness that's going on in the earth. Their eyes are asleep. They can't wake up and see that this man is the devil, and that he's leading them down a dark path, which is going to ultimately get them put to death by Yahawah, in a very horrible, violent, extraordinary death that the Lord is going to cook up for these wicked 2/3 and wicked Israelites at the end of the day. But it says, have poured upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and have closed your eyes, and the prophets and your rulers, the seers have he covered. So in these days, the prophets, the real prophets, we're out here in the highways and byways, and we're confessing the Lord Yahawah, and we're also confessing the truth concerning the scriptures and concerning the narrative of, what we need to do to achieve salvation in these days, But the prophets that these people follow, because there's a lot of prophets, you got the real prophets, and then you got false prophets. Both are still prophets. They're both still under that umbrella. It's just one is true on the right hand and one is, on the left hand. And these left-handed prophets, they it's like it. But these left-handed prophets, they preach a message, of peace, and of basically that everything's gonna be okay. You know, prosperity. You know, come as you are. You don't gotta change. You know, God loves you. You know, all that nonsense, man. You know, roundabout. But it says, "In the vision of all is become unto you the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, Read this, I pray thee. And he said, I cannot, for it is sealed." You know, these people are fucking bugged out, and they don't got the true understanding of what they need to do on the earth, because the Lord does not want them to have the understanding. Because ultimately, if you can't see that this is wicked as hell, then you ain't more likely you're wicked, and the Lord's going to destroy you anyway. And you wasn't really set up and meant to worship the Lord, or, you know, be partaker in his truth, which is fine, because his truth is for the elect only anyway. But it says, "And the book is delivered to him that is not learned, saying, Read this, I pray thee. And he said, I am not learned. Wherefore the Lord said, For as much as his people draw near me with their mouth." And Jake does this a lot, man. "Oh, I love God. I love God." Bitches be the first one to say God, Jesus did God this. You know, even though Jesus ain't the real name. I'm just, paraphrasing. You know, but they be quick to say all of that. But they be the main ones with a gay friend, or they be the main ones talking about don't judge and all this other bullshit, you know. And they don't want to get judged because they're fucking wicked as hell. Yeah. He says, "Wherefore the Lord saith, For as much as his people draw near me with their mouth and with their lips do honor me, they have removed their heart far from me, and their fear towards me is taught by the precepts of men." So therefore, you know, the precepts of men go into these sons of men, you know, these Edomites, these other people outside, you know, the Israelites, the leadership of Israel, you know, the righteous leadership of Israel, you know, that's been set up to guide Israel unto, you know, salvation ultimately. You know, they don't hearken unto them, you know. They are being taught by the precepts of men. You know, Esau are men, you know, or the sons of men outside of the nation of Israel, you know, heathens. You know, they teach you to, oh yeah, it's cool, you can do this, and whoop-de-whoop, and Lord, you know, you could be gay, being gay is okay. All that's fear being taught by the precepts of men, which is the incorrect way to go about things, you know. Basically, you're following the multitude to do evil. You're following these heathens, and they're telling you, oh yeah, you can eat this, pork, all this, because they do it. And they're a multitude, and you're following them, and they're just doing evil, you know. But it says in verse 14, "Behold, therefore behold, I will, it's like it says, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work among his people, even a marvelous work and a wonder. For the wisdom of the wise men shall perish, and their understanding of prudent men shall be hid." It says in verse 15, "Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and that their works, and they say, Who seeth us and who knoweth us not?" This is going to the nation of Israel, but you can also apply this to these elites today who practice these left-handed wicked practices of putting up and pushing certain wicked narratives on the earth, so people can ultimately absorb it, you know, and convert over, or accept it as something that's not as bad as it really is. You know, they hold secret councils and underground layers. You know what I mean? Discussing events and how they're going to continue to, you know, forward their enterprise and continue to be, you know, the wicked that they are upon earth. You know, we know that these elites, they be having secret meetings and shit. But point is in verse 16, "Surely your turning of things upside down." Everything's upside down. It's like bizarro world over here. Like basically, man want to be a woman, woman want to be the man. Man, it's like, what the fuck is going on, man? What are we doing here? You know what I mean? You people need to get put to death or repent, you know. But like I said, like I brought out in Isaiah 24, this place is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because of Esau's ruling. But it says, "Surely Your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay, for shall the work of him that made it, he made me not, or shall the thing that framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding. So ultimately, you Israelites and you wicked ass Edomites and heathens say that the Lord had no understanding. So, we're gonna do things our way, and we're gonna make a woman out of a man. We're gonna make a man out of a woman. We're gonna do all types of matter of evil, it's like all matter of types of evil on the earth, and nothing's gonna happen. We're gonna be completely fine. We shall see no evil. Let's get a precept. But there's gonna be judgment. Let me get a hold on. I think it's in Ezekiel. I got a precept for this, Salakia. Hold on. Select. Hold on. Okay, let me do a word search for it. Alright. I knew it was in Habakkuk, but I just didn't know exactly. But alright, so let's go to that real quick. Because this is basically the spirit of what we're saying, but there's an answer to it as well. So we're going to jump to the point. This is Habakkuk, so during the time of Habakkuk, there was things going on. Because during this time, I believe they was in the Babylonian captivity. But during this captivity, it was a captivity because the Babylonians, and I believe it was coming from the Assyrians, but I believe it was a mix between the Assyrians and the Babylonians. But the Assyrians are one thing, and the Babylonians, I believe, are like Hamitic. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, I think they go into like the Assyrians, so Aram or Awar, and it's like a mix between them and then a mix between Hamitics, Ham, or it could have been just Ham. I'm talking about the nation. Whoever. I'm talking about the nation of the nationality of who the Babylonians were, but ultimately they were heathens. So anyway, let's move on. In verse 2 it says, O Lord Yahawah, how long shall I cry, and thou wilt not hear, and even cry unto thee of violence, and thou wilt not save? And this is where we are at right now, because there's violence in the streets, niggas getting killed, day in and day out. But look, those individuals that do get taken out the earth at this, in these days, the scriptures speak about how none perish if, that were innocent. So whoever the Lord takes out of the earth right now in these days, man, the Lord wanted to take you out the earth, and there's nothing that you could do about it, But it says here, even cry unto thee of violence, and thou wilt not save. It says in verse 3, why dost thou show me iniquity and cause me to behold grievousness? And that's what we see every day we wake up. We see some bullshit, some wickedness on various levels, and we just gotta behold this shit. And why? ultimately we gotta behold it, because there's a set time, there's a set measure in which these heathens have been given liberty to do what they need to do as far as their wickedness, and they're gonna attract 2/3 of wicked Israelites to go down that rabbit hole along with them, and that's gonna be the detriment of both, But we're only here for the hopeful elect. You understand? All right, but reading on, it says, "Why dost thou show me iniquity, and cause me to behold grievousness? For spoiling and violence are before me, and they that rise up strife and contention." So in verse 4, "Therefore the law is slacked, and judgment doth never go forth, and the wicked doth compass the righteous. Therefore wrong judgment proceedeth." Yep. The righteous, in comparison to the wicked, there's more wicked than there are righteous. So these people have been given rulership of the earth. So therefore wrong judgment proceedeth. But we here, being Lord willing, the righteous men of the Lord, we're gonna call this out, and we're gonna make videos. We're gonna teach and go into the proper way of order of how to do things and what not to do. You don't post to be a homo or a transgender bender, or be in that mindset that's going off. That's wrong judgment. You need to be in order. You need to return to the Lord Yahawah Shemel Shai ultimately and repent and come out of that. But judgment will go forth, but the Lord has it in array where it's gonna basically judgment in the things that's going to be brought upon the earth is going to come in the time frame in which the Lord wanted to come. So these people got to fulfill their measure of wickedness. They got to push this shit. They got to push this satanic shit. They got to push this wicked shit. They got to push this transgender shit up until the point where the Lord allows it to get to a certain point, and he brings judgment. It says, "Therefore the law is slacked, and the judgment does never go forth." It says, "For the wickedness doth compass the righteous, therefore wrong judgment proceedeth." It says in verse 5, "Behold ye among the heathen, and regard and wonder marvelously, for I will work in your days which you shall not believe, though it be told to you." It says in verse 6, I'm going to read it to 7. It says, "For lo, I will raise up the Chaldeans," which goes into these Babylonians. And the modern day Chaldeans is these elites, man, these prognosticators, these witches, because the Chaldeans were the wise men of Babylon at that time. And now in these times of Babylon the Great, we have these wise men, so-called wise men. They're wise on the left hand, and they believe that they're illuminated with wisdom on the left hand. But it says here, "For lo, I raise up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation," all right, "which shall march through the breadth of the land to possess the dwelling places, and that possess the dwelling places that are not theirs." And this would happen to our people, during the siege of when the Babylonians came and fucked us up, and destroyed the temple and everything like that. It says in verse 7, "They are terrible and dreadful, but these were heathens." Now you can use the same verse and apply it to today. These heathens are terrible and dreadful. These Edomites are terrible and dreadful, and they're going to come down with great wrath, like it says in Revelation 12:12, in due time, because they have fear upon us waking up to our nationality and us teaching the word in these scriptures in the correct way. Basically, they're afraid because we're in order and we're following after the ordinances. That's why, and they're mad, and we're calling them out. You know, we're telling them they're going to go in slavery. We're telling them that they're wicked. You know, they don't like that though. All right, it says they are terrible and dreadful, and the point is here, their judgment and their dignity shall proceed of themselves. So just like those ancient Babylonians, they're gonna do whatever the fuck they want to do because they're in rulership. You understand? And they did whatever they wanted to do unto the Israelites at that time, just like in these times. You know, these heathens, these sons of men over here on this side, they're doing whatever they want to do. Their judgment proceeds of themselves. They want to be a homo. They want to push this agenda. They want to push that agenda. They want to go against the Lord here. They want to go against the Lord there. They're going to do it. Because why? Because they're in rulership right now. And the Lord is not dealing with them. So it's not like they can put forth righteousness, because the laws, statutes, and commandments are only given to who? The nation of Israel. All right, so these nations, these heathens, these Babylonians, these Edomites, these people that are in rulership of the earth at this current point in time cannot push righteousness. They are not set up to do it. You know, they can't do it. It's not in their spirit. You know. Let's get one more precept, and that's gonna be it. You know, going into the spirit of these people and the people that follow them. Cause I'm okay. Habakkuk 2:4. All right, now this is going right into Esau Edom, man. You know, you could apply this to Esau Edom. It says in verse 4, his soul, which is lifted up. Now, this is the man that's in current rulership of the earth. And why you like, well, why is there all this gay shit going on? Why is all this trend? Why is all this and this and that and this and that? What's going on? Because the Israelites, the righteous men of the Lord, the true rulers of the earth, the church of the firstborn, the church of the first fruits, whatever you want to, whatever, you know, through the Spirit, you know, Yahawah, the men of the Lord are not in rulership of the earth right now. And that's why you see wrong judgment, transgenders, wickedness afoot, murder, rape, rob, and murder, the murder of children, the raping of children, children going missing, everything that's wrong with the world, you know, ultimately, you know what I mean, is due to these wicked Israelites, okay, following after Esau, and Esau being in rulership of the earth. But it's prophecy because he has to have rulership of the earth right now, up until a certain point in time. And I'm going to end it off with this precept after this. It says, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith. So if this man is not right, so if the man's spirit is not right, then therefore his society, his kingdom is not going to be in the right spirit, because he's not uplifting the Lord and how things are supposed to be set up. Okay, let's get another precept. I think this is what? Here we go. I'm gonna jump right here to the point. This is Revelations 18:5, going right into, you know, Babylon the Great here, which is America, aka, you know, America. It says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, all right, and the Most High have remembered her iniquities. So these individuals that are in the rulership of the earth, who are fulfilling their blessing, they have to basically, like I said before, meet their measure of wickedness that the Lord is going to allow them to get to. Okay, there's a bound, there's a certain time period that they are allowed to do what they need to do for prophecy's sake, you know, in the earth. So we're going to continue to see more and more wickedness, because it's not time for them to be taken out the earth just yet, but we're getting close. You know, they have a time, they have a measure, but the Lord is going to remember their sins. He's not just like, oh, they're doing wickedness and whoop-de-whoop and not going to bring judgment. There's a certain time that the Lord's going to bring judgment. And plus, we're on the Lord's time anyway. I can't just tell the Lord, hey, Lord, come fucking do something right now. Like I have the authority over Yahawah, or have the authority over Yahawah to force his hand to move just because I wanted to. No, we are on the Lord's time. So whenever the Lord wants to take these devils out of rulership, then he will. And what's gonna be the what's going to be after this kingdom. I'm going to get that. After this precept, it says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High have remembered her iniquities. Reward her, even as she rewarded you, double, according to her works, and the cup shall she fill. Have her filled to her double. All right. But it says here, verse 7, the point. How much hath she glorified herself and lived deliciously? So much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and I am no widow, and I shall see no sorrow. That's what these Americans think, man. That's what these homos, that's what these people who are allied with Esau think. Because Esau has given you the ability and the liberty for you women and you men to completely make a fucking fool of yourselves and destroy yourself and defile yourselves. You know what I mean? And you're going to be destroyed unless you repent. You know what I mean? Because of Esau being in rulership, he's giving you liberty to do that wickedness. Because if this was a righteous rulership, then you would have been put to death. You understand? To put away that evil from Israel, man. But you're being lifted up. You've been set up on high to do your wickedness. And you be given liberty by Esau, who's in rulership of the earth, to do bullshit. And you think that, okay, he's the white man, so-called white man said it was okay, so I'm going to go do wickedness, man. I'm not going to be fucked up. I'm not going to get judged. The Lord ain't going to do nothing to me. Okay. All right. I'm going to end this off with this precept. It says, because the sentence, this is Ecclesiasticus 8 and 11, it says, because the sentence of against an evil work is not executed speedily, Slakia. Therefore, the hearts of the sons of men is fully set to do evil. So y'all niggas is just gonna continue to do evil until y'all get taken out the way because of of Esau, and because of your own selves, because the Lord has set you up to do wickedness. The Lord has set you up to be a 2/3 and to follow after the wicked, or to follow after the man of sin, who is what? Esau, Edom, so-called white man, because he's actually not white. But anyway, Lord willing, this video was edifying. I just tried to hit the precepts. I thought it was gonna be short, but I had to kind of, hit a few points, and Lord willing, it's edifying, man. Ultimately. But with all that being said, Shalom.